Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man walah. Amma ba'd, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, we have hadith number 162. Imam Nawawi says, Anhu, yani an Abi Musa al-Ash'ari, the same narrator as the previous hadith. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن مثل ما بعثني الله به من الهدى والعلم كمثل غيث أصاب أرضا فكانت منها طائفة طيبة قبلت الماء فأنبتت الكلأ والعشب الكثير وكان منها أجادب أمسكت الماء فنفع الله بها الناس فشربوا منها وسقوا وزرعوا. The first part of this hadith, and the hadith mentions three categories of people with regards to the Sunnah and teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said in this hadith, the example of what Allah has sent me with, of guidance and knowledge, huda and ilm. Allah sent me with guidance to the straight path and knowledge, ilm. True knowledge is to go back to obviously the Quran and the Sunnah, to understand it, to be able to implement it, and eventually teach it. This is ilm. So he sent me with this huda and ilm. But then he said the example of what Allah has sent me with of knowledge and ilm, or guidance and ilm, is like the example of rain that falls upon the earth. It's like the example of rain that falls upon the earth. Some of the earth is fertile. It absorbs the water and produces abundant grass and vegetation. And this is like the first category of people when it comes to the teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They absorb it. What does this mean? They learn, they study, they attend lessons, they read. So they study, they absorb this knowledge, they take it in. And of course, once it's taken in, it betters them as a person, gets them closer to Allah Azza wa Jal, and then it produces abundant grass and vegetation. So this group of people, they learn and then they teach. They spread what they've learned. They educate, they do da'wah. This is the first group, the first example that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam makes, and this is the best of people. This is the best of people in regards to what the Prophet came with, to his teachings, and to his huda, the guidance that he came with. And then he mentions that some of it is hard and retains the water. So Allah benefits the people with it. This is now the second group of people, second category. They absorb. They are the earth that's a bit hard, but they absorb. They absorb the water, but people come and they drink from it. Right? People come and they drink from it, and this irrigates some crops from the water. But there's no vegetation necessarily and grass like in the previous example. And this brings us to the second category of people. People who, for example, narrate. They spread what they've heard, but they don't have true knowledge. They don't themselves have fiqh. They don't themselves have a deep understanding of the deen. So, they narrators. They are people who spread, but they themselves haven't studied and grown with ilm. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned, and part of the earth is barren. It's dry. Neither retaining water nor producing vegetation. This is the third group of people. And this is of course the worst group of people. Qismu Thalith, they are those who, they don't seek any knowledge. They don't retain any ilm. Nor can they benefit others. So they do not benefit themselves, nor do they benefit anybody else. This is the group we should definitely not be from amongst. The believer should not be from amongst these people, and if he is, he should change. He should elevate himself to the next level and to the next level. This is what Islam is about. That we change, we better ourselves. We grow in terms of our deen and our iman. Then the Prophet ﷺ, he said that such is the example of the one who understands the religion of Allah. Make it clear, this is what he intended by these parables. He made examples using rain and the earth, and how it absorbs water and what it produces. So he said, such is the example of the one who understands the religion of Allah and benefits from what Allah has sent me with, learning and teaching it. And the example of the one who does not raise his head to it, nor accepts the guidance of Allah with which I was sent. Referring to the last category. And these people do not raise their head to it, meaning they don't turn, they don't bother. They're gatherings of knowledge, but they don't attend. They have no valid excuse. Gatherings are there, but they don't attend. So how are they going to learn? And if they do not learn, how can they possibly propagate and teach? So the Prophet ﷺ is telling us in this hadith, I have been sent with guidance and knowledge. These are the examples of people that you will find in this dunya. Where do you find yourself? Each person should ask himself this question. Are you in the first category? In the second category? Did you share things? These days we do this, we just share things, but we haven't learned ourselves. In the past, people who narrate hadith, we had narrators of hadith who didn't always understand the hadith. Right? And the one narration says people will come later on who know the hadith better than the narrators of the hadith. Because you had people who would just transmit, relay. So they benefit others, but they're not ulama. They haven't studied and then benefiting others through proper teaching, deep teachings. It's the first category that we want to try and be from amongst. Learn the deen as best and as much as you can, and then convey what you learn. بَلِّغُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً. Rasulullah said, even if it's one verse that you can convey, convey. So a very important hadith, moving hadith, that teaches us about the categories of people in light of his guidance and his teachings. And where are we with these categories? Wallahu musta'an. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make us of the first category, people who learn this deen and then benefit others with it. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.